ladies and gentlemen, I'm Dan, and welcome back to my kitchen for another unboxing and review video. Today, we're going to be unboxing the Halot X-1 combo from PioCreat. And yes, that is the picture of the box. That's because I already recorded the intro, but my audio is dead, so I have to re-record it. This is a resin 3D printer, and while I typically use FDM or plastic 3D printers for most of my builds, I am really excited to try this out. Without further ado, let's go ahead and unbox this and set it up. After unboxing the resin printer, I had a few pieces of foam to remove. This machine also has an AFU, which is the automatic feeding unit. I installed the resin tube from the unit and into the back of the printer. I then had to install the AFU's detection module. I began by removing the 2 screws off of the existing plate and then screwing the holder in its place. I plugged the resin tube and the cable into this module and then clicked it into the holder. After installing and locking the vat, I then clipped the module onto it and it was ready to go. After turning the printer on for the first time, it was in Chinese. I managed to guess the correct symbols and changed it back to English. It has a 10.1-inch 16K mono LCD screen with insanely high resolution. This means that the pixel size is small enough to capture every detail. Unlike most printers, this requires no leveling, it's ready to go right out of the box. And that's because the plate doesn't even move. The vat and the optical system move up and down, which makes the prints way more stable and accurate. It also has 92 different light zones that only activate when needed. This cuts down on overexposure and extends the screen's life. The twist and release mechanism on the build plate is a game changer. You simply just twist and it pops the print off so you don't need to scrape it and it avoids any damage. The printer also has an intelligent resin system and it automatically heats, feeds, and even recycles your resin while tracking how much you have left in real time by weighing it. The PioCreat resin bottles have an RFID tag located on them, so it automatically pulls the information from the bottle and changes your settings for it. As for the price, this bad boy by itself is $549. However, if you want the combo, which includes the AFU, it's $579. HalotBox is the slicing software for this printer. I downloaded it from the Creality website and installed it. After linking my Halot X-1 to my Creality cloud using the QR code on the printer and my phone, I was able to view it from the HalotBox software. For the first print, the Behelit from Berserk that my buddy Kev modeled over on wireframe seemed like the perfect small test print. I dragged and dropped the files into the slicer, I oriented it for optimal supports, and then pressed one-piece print. This button automatically positions, adds supports, and exports the files for you. I didn't realize I could send files to the printer at first, so I just used a flash drive for this. After aggressively shaking the life out of the resin and connecting it to the AFU, I selected the print files on the USB, enabled the automatic feeding, and hit start. The AFU automatically fills the vat with resin and will continuously feed resin during the printing of the part. And after 5 hours, it was done. The print came out beautifully, and the build plate mechanism popped the part off with ease. The print even had the dimpling and texture that was modeled on. I also printed Higgs' skull mask from Death Stranding that Kev also modeled. I printed both the top and bottom parts separately, and the supports popped off really easily. After they were washed and cured, I was extremely pleased with these results. With the 2 tests out of the way, I wanted to step it up a notch to print something I've always wanted to make, the Artifact from Baldur's Gate 3. My buddy Trace modeled this and it's also on wireframe. After stealing his files, I meticulously loaded in all 20 panels and lined them up to be printed. I used clear resin for all the parts, and I learned a hard lesson because I didn't read any of the instructions.
The exposure needs to be set to 5 seconds or else it will fail, which it did multiple times.
Quick side note, even though I changed the resin parameters in HalotBox to set the exposure at 5 seconds, it wouldn't update this on the printer, so I had to manually change the settings on the physical machine after I clicked print. Once I got all that figured out, I printed all the parts in clear resin over the course of about a day and a half. They all came out perfect except for one of the spikes where I didn't add enough supports. I simply reprinted the nub and then used more clear resin to UV bond it to the base. After post-processing, automotive clear coat, and electronics, I have to say that this is one of my most favorite props I've ever built. The Halot X-1 made the creation of this possible, and I really couldn't have done it without it. Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, time for my thoughts. I am no expert at resin printing. I have used maybe 2 or 3 other resin printers in the past, and this is by far the easiest printer I have ever used. The major thing that I really like about this is the fact that it doesn't require any leveling and it's ready to go out of the box. This thing was a huge upgrade and resin printing has never been easier for me. The automatic feeding unit is also really cool because I don't have to sit there and constantly have to top up or guesstimate how much I have, and if I do run a long print, I'm not going to have to manually refill it. I haven't had any failed prints or issues with this printer other than the fact that my exposure time wasn't set right, and that was kind of my fault. However, once I fixed that, everything printed perfectly. Last but not least, the build plate mechanism on this is a huge win. As long as you have the proper thickness on the base, it pops the prints off super easily. It makes cleaning the build plate super easy, and it keeps your entire resin area much cleaner. Also, the build plate mechanism doesn't require me to scrape at the plate, so it doesn't really get damaged. And for the price, it's an insane deal for this level of usability and quality. If you're someone like me that doesn't really have a lot of experience with resin printers, I think this is a great printer to start with. With all that being said, I do highly recommend this, and I want to say thank you to PioCreat for sending me the printer. Thank you guys for watching this video. All of the links for everything will be in the description below, and I'll see you in the next one.